who is preventing commissioners from being able to speak and depriving the members of their districts of representation.
Oh, who we have next year on the panel here? Let's start. The panel today is prison reform, police reform, prison reform. My name is Ray Smith from the BBG Media. We have Scotty Bowman, Mr. Willie Burton, and
Attorney Linda Bernard. I am a police commissioner for District 2.
Okay, let's. What are some of the things that you're really advocating for in terms of change and reform, please?
Well, in terms of police reform or prison reform?
Let's start with either or.
Okay, with respect to police reform, there are a number of things that need to change. It's Minister Ray, correct? Is it Minister Ray? Brother Ray, I got it. Okay, I'm sorry, my brother. Brother Ray. There are a number of things that need to change. First of all, the board right now is engaged in all kinds of litigation as a result of its violation of the Open Meetings Act and actually Fourth Amendment rights. So that's important to me because I'm the only lawyer on the board. It grieves me greatly that the commission that was started by Mayor Coleman Young and my sister, who was only the second woman appointed to the Board of Police Commissioners more than 30 years ago, that the commission is now bogged down with all these legal issues and the fact that they've been operating totally inappropriately. In terms of the community, I'm very concerned about what's happening to people who are arrested and who are incarcerated prior to being convicted of anything. There's some operations at the detention center that bother me greatly. That I'm engaged in as we speak right now. I've been dealing with the head of the detention center to try to make some changes there. In addition to that, it bothers me a great deal that people can be convicted of a crime while a police officer and still be promoted. I have a client who that occurred to, and it's just outrageous that you could be convicted of a crime while in uniform and then be eligible for a promotion. But basically, I'm looking to address issues of constitutional policing. Brother Ray, what bothers me even more than those two things is the fact that we are still racial profiling. If 4 young black men, if you and Willie and 2 other guys are in a car right now on the west side of Detroit and probably on the east side of Detroit as well, you will be stopped for no reason.
Okay, now, say if Commissioner Burton was in the car with
you,
Mr. Scotty Bowman.
No, it's not as likely.
No, I'm saying if he was in the car with Scotty, would they likely be stopped opposed to me and Mr. Burton in the car?
No.
Myself too.
No.
Why is that, Mr. Scotty? Mr. Bowman, can you comment on that, please?
Well, I think you might be talking about DWB, and in that case,
driving while black.
People would assume that since there's a white guy in the car, that somehow the passenger and the driver are less likely to be criminals, which is, of course, wrong thinking and especially ironic given that many of the police officers themselves are black, but apparently people do discriminate that way, even against people that look like them.
Commissioner Burton, if you was in the car with a white woman with your stature, I mean, you're pretty nice-sized guy, you know, and how would the police, would they look at you any different than you in the car with Miss Bernard? You in the car with a young, you know, good-age black woman. How would the police receive that?
You know, they probably perceive it as more so maybe they on their way to the opera, maybe they on their way, you know, night out of town. But overall, you know, profile does exist here in America's blackest port city, Detroit, and so if a black male and a white woman are in a nice vehicle traveling, they're less likely they will not be stopped. But if it's a black man and a black woman, and say if it's a child in the back seat, yes, they will be profiled. They will be stopped, and it doesn't take much to get stopped in the city of Detroit. Poverty is real. I think we need to look at poverty. We need to look at the racist technology that law enforcement are using to further to profile men and women of color, and we need to put some strong teeth in policies to prevent them from not able to do some of the things that they are doing. But that's why this platform is a great platform where You get to hear from elected leaders in the city, but also hear from the community.
Mr. Bowman, I know you have another meeting today. You're under time constraints. Do you have any remarks that you may want to add in terms of the incarceration rate and the ideal of prison, the discussion on prison reform? How do you, and in particular, I'm more concerned right now with the no cash bail, because I think that is something that could become a real unconstitutional process, leaving it up to the judge to reduce someone who's been accused of an offense.
Well, a lot of time, bail is definitely a financially discriminatory practice, because if you have a millionaire and he's arrested for homicide and they say that you got, $1 million cash bond, and I think he just has to come up with $100,000 toward that, he might just get it right out of his account and go, okay, and then he's off home doing whatever until the trial date. Whereas most people would not have all that money and would find themselves locked up for a tremendous amount of time. And you got the intermediate cases where maybe the cash bill might be in the tens of thousands of dollars, and some people maybe who are upper middle class might be able to pull something out of their savings or do a little fundraising with their friends and get themselves out for a while. But a poorer person would not be able to. So there's definitely a problem with the cash bail system, and it would definitely be better if there were other ways to ensure that a person wasn't a flight risk, and that could include tethering or some other kind of reporting practice that keeps track of a person, and because the purpose is supposedly to prevent them from being a flight risk.
No, there are actually two purposes. One is to not be a flight risk. The other is that they won't repeat offend. So if you think the person, if they are charged with murder, as you say, and it wasn't like a typical, most murders are committed by people who know of the other person, and they're usually crimes, related to, in large measure, to family and friends. If you think the person is going to reoffend, or if you think they're a flight risk, then no bond is quite frankly, generally what will occur. But it's those two factors that the judge is supposed to look at. But in many instances, as you know, Scotty, it depends on the recommendation of the prosecutor. The prosecutor will recommend no bond, or they will recommend an exorbitant bond, like you said, that the person has no ability to pay. But it's important to remember that this person is still innocent until proven guilty. But the court, of course, looks at all the factors and the circumstances of the particular crime. And there's the victim's family too. Don't get it twisted. I mean, it's not just, we certainly want to protect the accused, but there's still that issue of the victim. If that's your sister, your mother, your father that was killed, then you have feelings about that as well.
But wouldn't, for me, I look at it from a judicial perspective, the court's discretion. So it'd be totally up to the judge.
It is.
By right, legally, you have a right to a bail. Is that correct?
No, it depends on the offense. It really depends.
Opposed to treason and capital murder things, those type of offenses. But I would say any typical felony, a person do have a right to a bail. Now, we're not saying that you have a right to a reasonable bail, really, according to the Constitution. But my thing is that, are we going to leave the right to release a person from incarceration up to a judge? I think that's why I think we're going to have some grave discriminatory practices, giving that right to a judge.
Because of the biases of the judge.
Exactly. So
correct.
Even with the bail, even though he may say, well, I'm going to give you $100,000 bail, but he still have to grant you a bail under the traditional law. But with this new reform, I think it's going to be a lot of bias in terms of releasing accused from whether it be a county jail or a local lockup.
Well, Commissioner Burton just asked Kim Worthy the other day. Kim Worthy did a forum with the Board of Police Commissioners, along with the sheriff and along with the police chief and everyone else on criminal justice issues. And in direct response to his question regarding the issue of bail, she said that she did not believe that anyone should be in jail for something that was a non-violent crime, like shoplifting, for example, or tickets, because they actually did a study in 2018. The number one reason for people being in jail, believe it or not, was suspended licenses.
And that's trouble. Yeah,
The number one reason in Detroit.
And then you got the, what is that, child support, those.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Yeah, but there, you know, there are many crimes that are not violent in nature and that are not
taking up space.
serious. Or, you know, all the marijuana crimes, for example, all of these things. And so she said that she would not incarcerate people in response to his question for those crimes, and she did not feel that a person should be incarcerated for a bail simply because they didn't have enough money. So what she's advocating for is a means test, where you could say, like, you know, Linda's poor, Linda doesn't have the bail money, so, and, you know, and it's not a big deal offense, so we're gonna let Linda out. And using one of the methods perhaps that Scotty recommended, although tethers are very expensive too, and the defendant has to pay for that.
Now, Commissioner Burton, has she looked at in terms of people that's currently incarcerated and the level of offenses? Is she letting anyone out of jail now? Are she releasing people? I mean, is she advocating? So, application and being progressive is
well,
yes.
I really don't have the answer to that right now. Just, you know, we just had one discussion with the Wayne County prosecutor at the Board of Police Commissioners meeting, and so, you know, going forward, I would love to see what she does over time, as far as you know, letting, you know, low level offenders out. You know, COVID, you know, this whole COVID-19, you know, where COVID is growing in the jail system among staff, among inmates. You got folks that's incarcerated right now that's in holding, and, you know, based off of child support and things of that nature. So I'm just looking to see going forward what the Wayne County prosecutor is going to do, but also I'm interested in what the chief is going to do. You know, or he's going to allow officers to continue to, or, you know,
well, if there's a warrant, the police are supposed to arrest. But I do know that one thing that Kim Worthy is doing, which is helpful, is that she's looking at convictions where police evidence was tainted and so forth. It's like an innocence project within the prosecutor's office.
Integrity unit.
I'm sorry?
Integrity unit?
Yeah, the integrity unit. I'm calling it innocence, but it is integrity. And they have released about 20 some odd people that were wrong, that were convicted as a result of, I think, prosecutorial misconduct or certainly, you know, lying by the police. But you're absolutely right, gentlemen. Every single criminal action starts with a police report. It starts with the police report. Even if I'm here now and I say something happened, they're going to come in, they're going to take my statement. That police report is what starts the criminal justice system moving. And that's why who are our police and the integrity of the police and what's really going on and why cameras are so important, body cams and dash cams, to get the facts straight. Because sometimes what they say happened didn't really happen.
Exactly.
And nobody, you know, the eye, I call it the eye in the sky. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. So that's important. But you always ask to make sure that body cam is on and that dash cam is on.
Well, Commissioner Bernard, you said the eye in the sky does not lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what happened when Robert Williams, you know, a family man who was misidentified by racist technology, techno-racism, facial recognition, he was treated like a criminal. They hold up 2 images. They said, "Is this you?" Robert Williams just said no. He said no. They held up another picture. They said, "Is this you?" Once again, Robert Williams said no.